Good afternoon. I hope you're feeling awesome today, being blessed and encouraged and on fire for God. This video is another video on how God blessed me and met a need in a very unexpected, unusual way. So bear with me. I will make it a short one, but I feel like it may encourage you and be a blessing to you. And if you watch any of my videos and something resonates with you or you feel encouraged or blessed by it, please take a moment, click a like, share, subscribe. The Lord wants to spend time with us. He wants to speak to us. He wants us to listen. He wants to use us and bless us. We just need to let him. Proverbs 8:17 says, I love those who love me. Those who seek me diligently find me. And Jeremiah 29:13, you will seek me and find me when you seek me with all your heart. This story, this true story, happened years ago. But I remember it like it was yesterday. It still blesses me just to even think about it. I had been praying and fasting and seeking the Lord because I wanted a closer, deeper relationship with him. I wanted to be at the point where I was more in tune with him. So when he spoke, I heard him. When he wanted to use me, I would let him. I just needed that closeness with him. I longed for them eyes that see and the ears that hear. That's what I wanted. And I had been doing this, I don't know, for a few days or a week, and I just felt the need to get up and get out of the house. I had just been cooped up too long. So I grabbed my purse and I started heading to the door, and all of a sudden I heard a voice say, don't leave the house. I got a blessing coming to your door today. Don't leave the house. And I stopped. I put my purse down and I thought, well, I sure don't want to be disobedient and I don't want to miss a blessing. So I put my purse down and I started to think, I wonder if this is going to be one of those cable men wait, like you're waiting for hours and hours, or if this is just going to happen any moment or what. So I took a chance and I was like, Lord, if you don't mind me asking, how long do I have to wait? About an hour. I was like, so I went about my business, doing dishes or whatever. And I'd say about an hour, right down to the minute, I heard a knock at the door. And I get excited. I'm thinking, oh boy, here it goes. And so I opened the door and there's somebody I know that I've known for years and that lived nearby. And it wasn't unusual for this person to stop in now and then. So they look at me and they say, get your purse, let's go for a ride. And I was like, I can't. And they look kind of puzzled and I'm like, I feel like God told me not to leave the house, that I got a blessing coming to my door today. And they just kind of look at me and don't say much, but just look at me and they say, I'll be back. And I'm like, okay. And I'd say about 25 minutes go by and they come back to my door and got a takeout meal, It's like, I can smell it. It smells so good. And it's like this fish dinner, fish and I believe shrimp and just the works, and it smells so good. They got one for me, and they got one for themselves, and I'm like, oh boy, this is so cool, because I'm thinking, this is my blessing. And I'm thinking, this is a pretty cool blessing, So we get the food out on the table, and I get a couple of cold drinks, and we sit down, and all of a sudden, she slides a piece of paper over to me. And I pick the paper up, and I'm looking at it, and it's like the calculator, the electric calculator paper, and it's got a bunch of numbers on it, and that's it, just a bunch of numbers. And it totals up to be a couple, $100 or so, well, several hundred. And she looks at me and she says, I got a riddle for you. Solve it. I'm like, solve it? It's just numbers here. And she says, yeah. Tell me what it is. And all of a sudden, I thought to myself, you know what? It's like, Lord, does this have something to do with the blessing you're talking about? Is there more than this fish, this fish dinner? And I was like, Lord, I don't know. This is just numbers. And I'm thinking this, tell me what it is. If this is part of the blessing, tell me what it is. And all of a sudden I heard, it's a wash machine. So I slide the paper back and I'm like, it's a wash machine. The girl like fell out the chair. Totally stunned, totally shocked. She's like, yeah, it's a washing machine. And she's like, does God tell you everything? And I just kind of laughed. And she says, yeah, about a week ago, she said, I was praying and she said, I heard God tell me to buy you a wash machine. And she said, at first I was like, huh, really? And of course I thought that was funny. I was like, I laughed and she's like, so I went and obeyed and got you a wash machine. And she says, and then I come to your door today and you tell me that you can't leave because God said that you had a blessing coming to your door. And she says, I found out he'd already told you that you got a blessing coming because she was going to have it delivered, And so, isn't God good? Isn't he amazing? God spoke to her to meet a need that I had prayed about. And I think I only prayed maybe once. And I had, believe me, I needed one. And I didn't know that he had told her to buy me this wash machine. And she sure didn't know he told me that I had a blessing coming that day. And then for him to also tell me what this piece, this little strip with all these numbers was. And so my point is, God can meet the need. God can speak to you. He can speak to somebody else to bless you. He can speak to you to bless somebody else. He can give you a word for somebody else. God uses people. He uses his people if they let him. If we'll just listen. If we'll just seek him with all our hearts and just let him, because he wants to bless us. He wants to speak to us. He wants to be there for us. So that is how God, that is one of many, many, many ways God has blessed me. And in such unusual ways. I mean, in ways that I just know that I have no doubt that it was God. So whatever your need is, leave it in God's hands. Trust him. He'll make a way. He always makes it. He does not fail. He is always faithful. All things will work to the good of those that love the Lord. So I'm trying not to make this too long. I done lost some of y'all probably. But before I go, I just want to say that God is real. His word is truth, and I've said this before. Time is short. Jesus is coming back, and it's better to know him before he does. So, praise God. Look up. Hang in there, and just allow him to do what he already wants to do in your life. He wants to open doors for you. He wants to close doors. Let him. And walk through those that he opens, and don't be trying to open those that he closes. Anyway, be blessed.